Heyo!
Hey,
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. It's the Monday
Yo,
dance.
Labor Day, Jamaica. Big up yourself. Big, 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 big. Everybody who's out on the parkway. Big up yourself. And for everybody who's not in New York and you have no idea what we're talking about, we're sorry. But no, the big parade in New York City today. Shout out to everybody who's out
Labor
there.
Day parade.
And to everybody who's celebrating the Independence Day. I'm joking.
Or the Caribbean Day Parade is what it's also known as. If you're in New York, I know about a parade in Brooklyn, but like not sure exactly which one we're referring to. It's the Caribbean Day Parade. Really excited to be with you guys today. If you're not in New York, this could also be, or I should say New York City. If you're not in New York City, it could be your motivational Monday, it could be your mindful Monday. But for us, it's the Monday Rundown. I'm really excited to be with you guys. And so for those of you who are new, please make sure to subscribe, hit that like button. If you hear anything that you're like, oh, this is juicy, this is good, I want to see more of this. Because when you do that, it will keep feeding you more of what we have to offer you, the good stuff.
Say that.
So we talk about all things, especially on Wednesdays, which we're kicking off our new season this week, now that we're in September. And so we typically talk about things business related and the ugly come up of business, but we love the Monday rundowns because we get to talk about all the other juicy stuff that Winston and I love to chit chat about. And then we bring it to you guys. We love the questions that you guys are bringing to us. So keep sending us those questions. Today is going to be a good one.
Absolutely. So guys, let's dive into today's question and hear what we got to talk about. Today's topic is,
where are we going wrong with dating?
Oh man.
Are we going wrong? We're going wrong. What direction are we going in if we're going the wrong way?
I could already see people in the chat. Like, let me tell you. Well, first off.
Let me tell you. With the claps. Yeah, so are we going wrong with dating? I think it's a new world, and I think it depends on age. I will say that, like, I think generationally there might be some differences in how people see this, but I'm feeling like, as someone who has been in the dating space relatively recently, as someone who is, dare I say it, 42 years old, so you know what generation I know. I feel like there are a lot of hurt people just out there trying to figure out how to navigate finding someone and hoping that you won't be so hurt. I saw a meme the other day on Instagram, and it was like, when you marry someone, you're basically marrying their traumas and marrying their ability to deal with their traumas. And I think that is really true. I don't think that there's like a perfect person necessarily. No. There's somebody who definitely can fulfill needs and does so in a way that's like pleasing, and you guys really enjoy spending time together. I think that's like super important. Just like liking each other, I think is a big deal. And I don't know, I think there is a bit of, like, we said this with the money one and like money and marriage, but this idea of like what the ideal guy looks like or what the ideal girl looks like. And for many women, it is like, oh, a guy should have X, Y, Z amount of money because then that shows that he can provide. Yeah. And I don't think men really feel like they can, one, live up to that standard. Yeah. And then women, I think men probably have an idea of what they want women to look like or be like. And I'm not sure women can necessarily fulfill that standard. So I think there's like a lot of like idealism going on. No one's really hitting or meeting the ideal. And then you just have a lot of people being hurt by that, right? So I got hurt by the last relationship I was in. And so I'm entering this next relationship a bit cautiously, or thinking that this person is going to act like the last guy. And so how you interact with each other might just seem weird, or
you're guarded.
Guarded.
Yeah. You're not even being yourself.
Yeah. And you're coming at it in a more defensive way. And I think both men and women are doing that. I don't think it's like men are doing that or women are doing. I think both men and women are approaching it that way. It may feel different to both men and women, but I think.
Well, this I think turns into some of the Allison who wrote. No, Allison wrote your book, right?
Alison Armstrong, our relationship expert that we typically go to.
And I mean, when she talked about just the different places in life that we can be, that also you're meeting somebody who's in this stage of life looking for certain things, and you're in a different stage. But to look for me for the question, where are we going wrong with dating? I definitely would agree with you that the generation we are part of is going to play a role in maybe how you even approach dating. So what some people consider dating now, I don't even think you and I would look at it and be like, wait, that's a date, or you guys are dating. Really? There was a period of time where people were courting each other. I think if our grandparents or maybe great grandparents, what they consider dating and how we think of it now is like more of a hookup culture. And so I don't know, I think people even quantify now. There are movies that talk about if you haven't gone on this many dates, you guys aren't really dating. If you haven't met this person in their life, you guys aren't really dating. So I think there are different definitions that people even have when it comes to what they constitute dating now. So God knows where you think we're going wrong. But I will say, and I'll end it with this, where you left it with hurt people moving on into different situations, I think that definitely is where we're going wrong. I don't think we might meet somebody and like them for who we really are in the beginning. And then I think we started becoming very guarded as we start to see aspects of them we may not like, which is maybe a reflection of things that we do that we don't like. And all of a sudden you're like, I'm not going to be my authentic self with you. And then at some point you start you said it, you don't even like the person that you're with anymore.
Yeah.
All
right. Well, I can't wait to hear some expert opinion on this. I'm really excited.
Who do we have today?
We're back with The Diary of the CEO, and Stephen Bartlett interviews a young man who has a very interesting past. He was like,
Chris Williamson.
Bullied as a kid, and then ended up being like the cool kid, the popular guy, seen all over the place in Europe, going to lots of different parties. And so he's had an interesting life and has a very interesting perspective on all of this. And so I can't wait to hear what he has to say. Ready?
All right, let's jump into it.
One of the biggest levers, in fact, the single biggest predictor of your health outcomes in life are the number of close connections that you have. It's more than quitting smoking. It's more than going to the gym. It's more than stopping drinking. 50% of men say that they are not looking for a relationship.
When they say aren't looking for a relationship, do they mean I'm not looking for a woman or I'm not looking for commitment?
Not actively pursuing any kind of interaction with women.
Oh, where did we go wrong and how do we go right?
Okay, so 50.1% of women for the first time in history are mothers. There are more childless women at 30 than there are women with children, right? So for almost all of human history, more women had kids under the age of 30 than over. And now it's switched. There's a study from Morgan Stanley that says by 2040, 45% of 25 to 45-year-old women will be single and childless. If online dating was creating this perfect facilitation for relationships to start, how are we ending up with all of these outcomes? It's a question.
What's wrong with the outcomes?
What do you mean? Why should people care about being single?
All the stats you've just said, I could look at them and say they're just sort of objectively neutral. Like there's no adverse consequence to society or the world. Yeah. It's fine that people aren't having kids. It's fine that people aren't having sex. I'm playing devil's advocate here, but like what is the negative consequence of all of those outcomes that you've described in your view?
There are people for whom a life without a partner is the right choice. That's absolutely something that I'm prepared to accept. But it's not most people. It's
not human nature.
One of the biggest levers, in fact, the single biggest predictor of your health outcomes in life are the number of close connections that you have. It's the number of friends. It's more than quitting smoking. It's more than going to the gym. It's more than stopping drinking. It's the number of close friends that you've got. And a relationship is a big close friend. Robin Dunbar says that in order to get into a relationship, you have to sacrifice 2 friendships because you can have around about 5 very close friends. If you want to get into a relationship, you need to get rid of 2 of them because there is a minimum time investment. So people that are in relationships have better health outcomes. They have onset of dementia later. They have Alzheimer's problems later on in life. They are less lonely. that seems pretty uncontroversial. And yet both sides of the aisle, both men and women, are retreating from relationships and finding ways that they can justify this. Boss bitch culture and sort of the lean in women's mentality, or men going their own way, and incel culture and the black pill for guys are both ways that each sex is trying to deal with the challenges that are coming out of the mating market. Both sexes are saying, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. I'm finding it so painful and difficult to be in this world that I'm just going to cast off any of it altogether. And then retroactively come up with a lot of explanations that can justify why they didn't need to be in a relationship in any case. And for some people, that's true. But for most people, that's not.
Dating apps are clearly not, and as you say in your own words, previously, aren't the only causal factor. So my question to you is, where did we go wrong and how do we go right?
Okay, so I think challenges in the mating market are coming from many directions. One of the main ones that will be pertinent to the people that are listening is the increase in female achievement in education and employment. Now, about 50 years ago when Title IX came in, there was a 13 percentage point swing in favor of men to women in universities. There were significantly more men than women.
What's Title IX?
It was an affirmative action policy that helped to get more women into higher education.
Yeah.
50 years later, 2023, it's a 15 percentage point swing between men and women in university in the other direction. There are 2 women for every 1 man at a 4-year US college degree, around about by 2030. Women on average between the ages of 21 and 29 earn £1,111 more than their male counterparts. Women are roughly twice as likely as men to say that they will value financial prospects in a partner. Around about 78% of women say that a stable job is something that is important for a partner to have, whereas around about only sort of 45% of men say the same thing. For a man to increase his rating on a 10-point scale by 2 points, he requires around about a 10-fold increase in his salary. For a woman to achieve the same 2-point improvement on a 10-point scale, her salary would need to increase by 10,000 times. My point being that women are concerned about a partner's socioeconomic status significantly more than men are. Now, you can start to see that if you have a world in which women are attending university at high rates, they are achieving more success in employment, at least in that sort of 21 to 29 range, which is when most people are perhaps looking for potential partners. And yet the socioeconomic status of a partner to a woman is a big determinant of their level of attraction. You can start to see how this imbalance could cause a problem. Similarly, when we talk about education, a man with a master's degree on Tinder gets 90% more right swipes than a man with a bachelor's degree. So for all of the guys that are considering going and getting a master's degree, even if you think it's going to be useless, at least accept the fact that you get 90% more right swipes for the rest of your life, or just lie about your master's. I don't know. All of this rolled together describes something called hypergamy, which is the female tendency to date up and across. On average, women want to date a man who is as educated or as employed as they are. Now, in a world in which, quite rightly, women have finally been able to achieve parity in education and employment and status and have independence and not be financially reliant on their partner, all the rest of it, that's great for them. But it does cause some challenges for their dating. And this is what I've called the tall girl problem. So everybody knows what it's like to have a girlfriend who is 6 foot without heels. If you want to wear heels, you're looking at professional athletes, because on average, women want to date a man who is at least as tall or a little bit taller than they are. So as women rise up through their own competence hierarchy in education and employment, they further shorten down the potential pool of eligible men that are as educated or more educated and as employed or more employed than they are. This is a challenge. This is just a straight up imbalance, right? What this causes is a very large group of men toward the bottom of this distribution to be essentially invisible to women. It causes a very large number of women, an increasing cohort, to compete for an increasingly small group of turbocharged super performers at the top. These guys, the super high value guys, have a wealth of options. So they are commitment averse. Why would they decide to sit down with one girl for the rest of time when they have this wealth of options, which can cause them to use and discard many of these women, which then causes most of these women to resent men overall. And then the guys that were forgotten at the bottom that say, well, hang on a second, I didn't use and discard you. I haven't even been seen by you. No, all men are
like this,
whatever it might be, right? That they are users and abusers, that we don't need them, that where all of the good men at, etc., etc. It's a big group of men that feel like they are good men that are invisible. There's a big portion of women who have finally managed to achieve educational and employment and independence that are chasing after a smaller group of guys. These guys are commitment averse. I don't think it's necessarily good for them either. It's the child with the ice cream, right? Like guys being able to keep it in their pants when there's a lot of options on the table is going to be difficult for them too. This is one of the main drivers. This tall girl problem is a massive change, I think, in the dating dynamics.
It obviously begs a question, Chris, which is, if everything you've said is objectively correct and spot on and supported by the data, then how does, if I make Chris Williamson the prime minister or president of the world and I say your first job is to fix this challenge, what do you do?
The first thing that you don't do is roll back women's education and employment. And this is one of the problems with this discussion, right? The things that I've just said there are borne out in Pew Research data, Morgan Stanley results. Like these are incontrovertible facts, right? They are there. And any girl that is listening who earns more than £50,000 a year and has got a master's or above level education and is toward their late 30s or in the toward their late 20s or in their 30s knows this problem. You know the fact that you are struggling to find a man that you feel is eligible for you, right?
Say that.
That needs to be out there. The problem that happens around this discourse is that it posits men and women as adversaries and competitors of each other.
Yeah, like you got to take a woman's salary away or something.
Right.
This means that worthwhile compassion, which is needed to both women and men. If you're a woman who has gone through your education, you've dedicated yourself to achieving a degree, you know, your mother's generation wasn't able to achieve this, and you're the first person that's maybe gone to uni or got a bachelor's or got a master's or got a PhD, and then you spend some time in a career grinding away and you now earn 150 grand a year. You think, right, I'm 31, I'd love to settle down. This would be amazing for me. Where are all of the men at? Hang on a second. And what you realize is that not only now are you competing with all of the other increasing cohort of women that are high achievers with status, employment, and education, but you're also competing with a 21-year-old barista who still lives at home with her parents for this small cohort of guys. That requires sympathy for women, okay? That is not a good position for women to be in. At the same time, this huge cohort of sexless men, 30% of men haven't had sex in the last year. 50% of men say that they are not looking for a relationship. You are a man. You have been through your 20s. You know the power of the male sex drive between the ages of 18 and 30. Can you imagine getting yourself into a situation where you say, I'm not bothered about pursuing women? That is an unbelievably extreme statement for men to make. And they're self-identifying as this in Pew Research data. This isn't on incel forums. This is Pew Research. 50% of men aren't looking for a relationship.
When they say aren't looking for a relationship, do they mean I'm not looking for a woman or I'm not looking for commitment?
Not actively pursuing any kind of interaction with women.
Oh, shit.
Casual included.
What?
50%.
If you love the Diary of a CEO brand and you watch this channel, please do me a huge favor. Become part of the 15% of the viewers on this channel that have hit the subscribe button. It helps us tremendously, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests.
Say that. Make that the case for us as well. Hit that subscribe button, guys. Yeah, let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. YouTube has a way of working, guys. We got to work the system. All right, let's dive into it. That was amazing.
That was amazing. And I have to say, I still feel like he didn't answer the question, which means we probably have to watch a full interview to get the more of an answer. But
or we should check out more of the commentary, or to your point, we should check out more of the interview and bring it to you guys.
Yeah, because
so maybe next week we'll bring him on again.
Yeah, because that to me, both sides need empathy to what he's saying. Like both sides, are struggling. Both sides are struggling. So like, how do we fix this? Do we like get more guys into school and education? Do we like focus on that? I don't know.
Well, do you know what's interesting? First off, I've never heard anyone put this in the context that he did to identify that both sides are going through something in this. I've often heard it from either side. I've heard it where someone's bashing women and saying, they're pointing out the statistics that this guy was sharing, but putting down the women by like blaming them for this. And then I've heard it from the other side where it's the women, where it's the men now, or sorry, the women who are being like praised up, and it's like these terrible men. I talked to you about this, the passport boys, and these men ain't nothing. But it's like, but you're not having compassion for these guys who are saying, I can't find someone here, and that's why I'm going somewhere else. It's not that I don't want to be with a woman here. I'm expressing to you that you don't want me. I'm the invisible. I'm the 30% of the invisible men. And therefore I'm going somewhere else because I'm looking for someone who at least sees me as a man and wants me in their life. And these women that I listened to, a woman that was talking the other day about how she is a woman in this same pool and how she hates that American women or Western women are putting down her culture because they are being called subservient, where men are looking for partners there. And that's what he's talking about in some sense. It's great that you've had all this success in life, but I still want somebody who's going to comfort me when I come home. You know, it's like great that you're a boss at work and you tell your employees, let's get this done. We make this money. But when your man comes home, he just wants his woman to be his woman. You know what I mean? And I think I don't think you often hear, again, both sides. And she wants to be praised when you come home and be like, I did bring all that money in. Like, what's up? You know? But I don't think you often hear someone who's putting both sides. I don't think
it's that so much of like, I did bring this money in. What's up? I think it's like, why can't you too?
Yeah, but that's the point. He's saying that that's the perspective of a woman who, again, has achieved something in a generation that's also being constantly propelled to say, you guys need to go out and if you go get that man that makes the same amount as you, but he's the same guy he's talking about. Why should he commit to you? There is others out there.
I'm not taking sides saying one thing. I'm just saying, I'm just tweaking it a little to say, yes, men are out there being invisible and are being told that they're not men because women are looking for something else. I'm saying it's not that the woman is looking to have a man say like, oh, look at you, you did all that. She's just looking for a guy to get
make the same.
Yeah, which still makes them like not align. Like both people are looking for something that seems
30% of the pool cannot make what you're making. That's kind of what he's pointing out. 30%.
Well, my thing is like, and then so what's the solution? Which is the question I feel like never really got answered.
Androids. The solution is androids that do their menial jobs, and everyone else can start making more money. Sure. How else do you fix an income gap like that? They're not going to pay a garbage worker, and I'm just using this as an example, but someone who's a sanitation worker isn't going to make what a woman is earning or anyone in a Fortune 500 company. They aren't going to make that, but that's the guy maybe looking for and has the qualities that woman, as long as his income, as long as all that's saying to me is, as long as this guy's income matches, then our values match, or he's going to take care of me.
Well, and that I'm going to cite Allison Armstrong. The reason why, so what happens is women are looking for a provider. They're looking for someone who is strong and can provide. Back in the caveman days, that meant protector, someone who could look after her and the kids, right? And protect them. What that's turned into modern days is into money, because money is a way in which you can provide needs, and also a way of protection to a certain degree. And we can theorize that and look at that academically all we want. I'm just saying that's historic, that's what's happened, right? So you went from caveman days to like current days. That's what money signifies.
Oh no, I agree. It definitely provides a lifestyle. The lifestyle of security is similar.
Security.
If you were a king, you could obviously put me in a castle. That makes sense, right? I'm more protected because you got people you could send out to do something. I hear you.
There's a moat.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, obviously. Opposed to a shepherd, you're out in the field.
So that's the whole thing. So what I'm thinking is like, how can we create a situation? And this may not be overnight. I don't think there's an overnight solution, because Title IX didn't, that switch, right? Because at one point there were more men who were educated than women. So that switch took some time. It wasn't overnight either. So I'm wondering, is there something else that can be done? I think culturally speaking too, if we can make it cool for a guy to do like whatever the other thing is, I don't know, whatever the other things are, but like culturally speaking, like if famous people can make character really cool, and if we can really focus on character and how that can create something like, and highlight the things that women want, and that it's not necessarily money, right? Like money doesn't necessarily create the provision or the protection that we somehow now think it creates. It's
there
like
we
something
go.
else.
Transparency is the, I think transparency is what's lacking in this, to your point. I think to those same people we like to model, if they were transparent in a way that you're saying, yes, we have all this wealth, but it hasn't helped us with this thing that you like not making this money may also be going through. So go get you a partner that blank, like that talks, or go get you a partner. And again, for everyone is obviously going to be different needs. You have a love language and things like that. So, but focus on those things. And then I'm sure there's a person out there who's like, oh yeah, I know all those things, and I need him to make, or vice versa. And a man, because this could be with a woman. Oh, and I need her to look like, you know what I mean? Because it's not just all, like I keep jumping on the woman.
And like,
men have their
here's the other thing too. I think that there needs to, for what it's worth, I have been the one who's made more money than my partner in several relationships. And the guys have been transparent enough to say like, yeah, not for nothing, but sometimes it sucks that like I can't afford XYZ. And like you can. I know, Winston, I know that's like. Okay. I was gonna say, I was like, I know your family and how you grew up was a little bit different. So maybe that isn't the same for you, but
that's exactly it's exactly how I grew up. My mom is made, I think, literally almost 3 times my father.
Oh, okay. But what I'm saying is that I don't know if your father has been transparent in saying like that feel good, or like if I have no idea. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I've actually had guys who have been transparent and say like, like I actually want to provide this for you. Like I want to, and it kind of feels bad that I can't.
Do you know what I will say? If to those same men, and this is like a man box thing, when we've been told that, to your point, we are providers, and the lack of doing that is a reflection of the type of man, or if you even are a man. I can tell you, and we've talked about this whole quiet desperation thing, and why the number of male suicides is significantly higher is because there doesn't always feel like you can say that to your woman. I'm talking about guys going out there thinking he's, whatever he's out there doing, but he doesn't feel like he can even say that to them, to his family, his kids. Your son's asking you why you can't, do whatever, and yeah, it's.
Well, what I'm saying is I'm trying to address that too, right? So like, we're not going to solve this problem right away in terms of men and women and making money and all that stuff. That's going to take time. We can work on that over time. But in the meantime, could there be something as a culture that we could try to address? Whether it's, okay, we recognize that like many men do instinctively feel like they want to provide and they're not in a place to do that. What are some other things that you can provide if it's not the financial bit? Then what are some other things? Because this makes you just as manly, makes you just as important within this relationship, and vice versa. I'd also like to say, like, for the women who have been high achieving, because I identify as one of those women. Sometimes, like, there was a period, I was just talking to my friend about this. I went through a period where I didn't even know what it meant to be feminine. Because like having testosterone and means that you're more productive. It's like you produce a result. You're constantly trying to produce a result. That's what it means to be, to have a lot of ambition, right? The ambition is to produce a result of something, right? And you produced the master's degree or the PhD or whatever. And so you forget what it's like to not have to produce and focus in that way. And you lose that ability to be feminine. I didn't even know what being feminine meant. Like I legit had to look it up. I was like, is it like liking pink? Because I really don't like pink. Is that like, this is me like holding, like reaching forth the things to remind myself to be feminine or to be softer. That whole thing that you said, like, I just want a woman to like you know, like say like, oh, it's so good to see you, whatever. It's like, really, like, is that what? Because I don't.
Yeah, men don't even need much. It's wild, man.
And I don't know that a man needs that, is what I'm saying. Because living
wild.
in my masculine energy and being so focused and ambitious, it's like, yeah, well, I'm out here working really hard too. So like, are you saying thanks? It's good to see you coming home because I'm tired.
Oh man, there's I think like compassion is the thing. Compassion is the thing. He said it. We need more empathy towards each other.
Yeah.
I think that's just it. We're both going through it. Everything you've said is exactly exactly the experience you're going through, and so am I. And that's hard when two people are going through something, because you want it to be the other person needs to be the one to make that change so that things are easier for me. But no, this is something, guys, where we're all going through the same challenges. So to your point, it will take time. But identifying that we're all going through something. It's not that the men or women are. It's just we just need to give each other more compassion. Because Janelle just said it. Think about what it is for a woman to say, I had to redefine what that meant to be feminine for myself. And I'm sure from the guy's perspective is, oh, no, she was just, you know what I mean? No, it's just, no, she was just like that. And then they're going out there with this whole, definitely don't want a woman who's doing this well in her life because they're all, you know, this type of way. Because now that's the structure that they've created in their head.
In their mind.
They're out in the dating pool. Or they're out in the dating world.
If you're like me, by the way, I looked this up. You can go on YouTube. There are like many different ways that you can be feminine, different archetypes, which helped me because I thought being feminine meant you had to be one way. And there are many different ways that you can be feminine. So if you're like me, you can.
Fine. If you can share one with me that you used, I can link it at the end of this.
Okay,
we'll link that in the episode of Diary of a CEO. So you guys can check out both those things. Man,
this is awesome.
It was definitely a good one. Oh, man.
All right, guys. Well, this has been another Monday Rundown. Thank you so much for tuning in with us, and we'll see you next week. But until then, remember, as always, you deserve the good life.
Remember. Say that.
Well, because I said remember, I said remember first.
I did that a week before, and I was like, remember, as always, remember.
Right, I know. It sounded weird. So that sounds like, you know what? I put the remember first, so I'm just going to say remember, as always, you deserve the good life.
Say that. We'll see you guys Wednesday. Don't forget this new season.